Hey everybody! I decided to do another live stream tonight, but I'm doing it a little different so I can put it horizontal. It's just, I feel like it's a little bit harder to kind of manage on the tech side, but I feel like it's a little bit better viewing experience and just kind of better overall for you guys. And yeah, so I decided to try it this way, and if we can go back to vertical, I got no problem with that, but I just wanted to try it these few different ways and just kind of test things out, see what works best. I'm thinking that this one will, but I could be wrong. I don't know. So let me bring up one of the things that makes it kind of tough is that I can't see the chat on my phone. I have to look at my computer, so which I can't keep on my desk because I've got all my art stuff. So it'll be a little trickier that way, but I think once I start working on the piece, then everything should be fine. But before we do that, before I get into creating tonight and painting, we're going to be doing a shellac burn. I wanted to say I just finished and published my shellac burn book. So if you guys are looking for a companion to kind of help you through trying shellac burns on your own, I would love it if you would give my book a chance. You can get it paperback or on Kindle. I have it available both ways. So yeah, I would highly recommend it. I think it's great. Yeah, the link is in the description. So, and I'd love to hear if you bought it, what you think of it, if you like the design, and give me some feedback. I would love that. That'd be awesome. So, all right. So we're going to get started here. I'm going to flip the camera around and hang it up so you can see what I'm working on. And then we will get started. All right. Let's see if I can get that glaring. Oh, goodness. Yeah, zooming is always a struggle. But I didn't want you to have to see that glaring light all the time. Okay. All right, so I'm starting off. What I'm going to do is I've got a few colors of shellac, and I'm planning on doing quite a few layers. But I'm going to be starting off with some clear encaustic medium. And I'm realizing that I'm probably going to run out of medium here pretty quickly. So I'll probably go until I don't have any medium anymore, unless I can get some melted quickly. I might be able to do that. We'll see, you know. Now this, I've never done a circle painting before, so this will be kind of new. But I don't know, I've been kind of experimenting a little bit more with geometry and being a little more deliberate in the shapes and things that I put. Rather than kind of slapping things together, I've been trying to be, what's the word? More... I said deliberate already, but like not just slapping things around, being really careful and precise. That's the word I'm looking for, precise. And so because of that, I've been a lot more interested in like circles and shapes and things, and getting things really well angled and measured. And it's tough. It adds a level of difficulty, and I think that's what I'm not so much enjoying, but see, again with the words, like I struggle with my words so much sometimes. It's tricky. It's tricky to get the shapes right when you're trying to make them perfect as you possibly can. But it's worth it because I feel like it adds a level of professionalism to my pieces. And so I've been very interested in kind of circles and triangles and working them together. Luckily for me, my dad is a math teacher, so all right. I better get this back on the griddle so it doesn't cool off too much before we do a second layer, but I think I've got a few on these edges that are just not quite thick enough. And this will take me some time to fuse. All right, let's get my gun out here. Nope, there we go. I'm gonna turn this up a little bit. Now, fusing large pieces like this can be really tricky, and it can take a long time. Most especially if you want a really smooth surface. If you're just joining me, welcome. I am working on one of my encaustic paintings, a new one I've just started. Encaustic is painting with wax, if you are unfamiliar with the term. And we use a lot of heat. So encaustic means to burn in. So we use heat and fire and lots of fun stuff. Alright, I'm trying to work on a chunk at a time here until I can get the whole thing. There we go. Once I finish this and add a little bit more wax, I'm going to start doing some shellac burns. If you're a longtime viewer of my channel, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're new, just let me know and I will explain as we go along. Let's warm up this wax here. I'm really trying to get that wax to adhere to the wood. And since this is a larger painting, it takes some time. There we go. Okay, that's pretty good for a first layer. All right. So I'm going to let that cool just a little bit. You can see there's a lot of spots going on. As some of the wax soaks into the wood, some of it stays on top. But it'll smooth out as I take my time and add more layers. Let me see if I can get some of these bristles that I accidentally left behind that I burned with my torch. There's this one. That happens sometimes, especially with the Haka brushes. They are fabulous for adding wax to the surface, but you do get bristles that you get left behind sometimes. Hello to everybody that's watching. Give me a you can pop into the chat and let me know where you're watching from. I would love that. Okay. Oh. All right, let's add some more wax. Sorry, that's my husband coughing out there. The edges, I've really got to focus on the edges. All right. Let me know if we have any experienced encaustic painters here. I'd love to hear how you got started, what kinds of things you're working on, what your favorite techniques are. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. So one of the reasons why I'm really starting to enjoy doing live streams is so I can get to chat with you guys. Oh, yes, I am. I'm sure she's probably getting pretty irritated. My studio at the moment is right next door to my stepdaughter's room, so she's got to deal with all my inane comments and ramblings because I also have to leave my door open when I'm doing this because the fumes they're not too bad, but they can get overpowering. So you have to have good ventilation. So what I'm doing is this is the beginning of a painting. I paint with wax, and this is probably kind of tedious to watch because every painting begins with 2 or 3 layers of wax that I fuse together with a blowtorch or a heat gun. And then I add other things to it. Like tonight, I'm hoping to be able to add some shellac to these layers and get something fun going on. All right, let's fuse that. I'm gonna pop a couple more things of medium into my onto my griddle really quick, so I can keep painting. All right, there we go. All right, let's fuse. I'm going to do the middle here and try to finish off with the edges. All right, now one thing that Encaustic artists really strive to get is this perfectly clear medium. A lot of artists will find that their clear medium becomes yellow after a while. So the more you heat it up, the more yellow it becomes. So to get this really clear wax, it needs to be freshly made and only just being melted for the first time, really. Yep, lots of fire. Lots of fire. You have to be careful and understand your tools, but it's fun. And as I add more layers, more wax, the wood will become less visible. Just kind of hint of it through the layers. I'm also kind of practicing because I don't do larger pieces like this very often. And you kind of have to switch up the way that you fuse and the way that you work. Doing live streams kind of helps me be a little bit more aware of what I'm doing, because I know that people are watching, or at least that they're going to be watching me do this in real time. Like, I can't go back and edit it, right? So I'm hyper aware of kind of what's happening and what's working and what's not working. All right. So you never get like a perfectly smooth kind of surface. But honestly, like, kind of looking at this, I think it works for what my vision is for this piece, with kind of like a moon-like texture a little bit. I think it might, I mean, I don't know, maybe I'll change my mind later on as I continue working on this, but I think this might really add to the piece instead of trying to get like this really crazy smooth surface. I think I might just kind of keep it with all these little dimples in it. Although I think I'm going to touch it up just a few places here and there. What is it going to look like when it's done? Okay, so I have some different colors of shellac that I've got black and white. And I was essentially, first off, I was just going to stick with the black and white and figure out kind of an abstract way of putting it on, just layers of black and white. But I had the idea to kind of have it in half, like with a horizon line right in the middle, and do black and white on the bottom, and then do some almost kind of sunset colors at the top. So that's my plan. And then on the top, I also have some colors of wax that I'm going to be using kind of periodically throughout the piece. I'm just going to add a little bit to certain spots just to kind of build up certain sections here really quick. Okay. There we go. And this shouldn't take too long because it's just certain spots. But you do have to fuse each layer. Otherwise, the wax will start to chip and flake, and as you're working on it, and you don't want that to happen. All right, so let's start with the black. I'm going to let some of these spots cool just a little bit before I add the shellac. Now, shellac is normally used in woodworking to seal the wood when you're done with whatever you're working on, like a toy or a dresser. A lot of woodworkers will use shellac, but when you use it with wax, you get these really cool, and then you let it dry and then you burn it. You get these really cool kind of cells that pop up. Just kind of, this is a first layer, so I'm kind of experimenting, seeing what I like. Let's thin some of these out just a little bit. Let's see. Okay. All right, so there's the bottom. I think I'm going to leave this just black and then do white on the next layer and kind of try that out. What is my favorite part about making these? Well, I love burning the shellac and watching the cells form because they do it on their own. I control where the shellac goes, but I don't really control the cells. And so it's really fun to watch them kind of pop up as you do these. Let's see, what do I want to do first? Let's start with the pink. Now these are actually, I mix dry pigments with my shellac because shellac is like has kind of a yellowish tint to it typically. So I mix dry pigments with them to get certain colors. And the black and the white were just like basic matte colors, but these pinks and reds and purples are Pearl X powders. So they're very shimmery. They've got kind of a metallic shine to them, and they're really fun. Let me see if I can show you real quick. I don't know if you can. Oh, you probably can't see that. The light is not great. But yeah, the glitter is really fun to watch. All right, I think we'll keep them separate in this layer and then just kind of see how that goes. Now, the hard part now is the shellac. Before I burn it, I have to let it dry. It needs to be as dry as possible, like not tacky. So when I touch it, like it's kind of leaving a little fingerprint here, which means it's still kind of tacky. So I'm gonna check the comments, see if you guys have any questions. It's hard for me to know kind of what to talk about sometimes, because I know I have people who've never heard of Encaustic before in watching sometimes, but then I also have channel members and longtime viewers who know what I'm doing and are very familiar with these techniques. So sometimes it's kind of hard to know like what to talk about and what things to say. So let me know if you have any questions. I might pop up this fan here really quick and blow some air on these just so the drying time kind of cuts down. When did I start making these? So I've been painting with wax for about 13 years, and I started doing shellac, kind of experimenting with shellac, about 9 or 10 years ago. Yeah, it was right after we moved in to our house that we're in now. So yeah, it's been 10 years. So I've learned a lot. I've had a lot of fails, but a lot of successes too. And it's a really fun technique. You'll see when I burn. Hopefully. I'll try to zoom in a little bit throughout the burn so that you can see the cells as they pop up. So when I first saw Encaustic, I was in an art gallery and I saw a painting someone had made with encaustic wax. And it's very different from my paintings, but the wax that she used, like I could see all the layers of her paintings, and it was so different from anything that I had really ever seen before, like so different from oil painting or acrylic painting. It was just a simple like picture of birds, but she had so many layers in it, and I just fell in love with the look of it. And so I found a class at my community center, and I took a class and I learned a lot of the basics. And then I've just been experimenting, like doing trial and error, trying to find out what I liked and what I didn't like, and what some of my favorite things are for the last 13 years. And it's been really fun. So yeah, check out, if you guys are interested in any kind of art. I mean, I have a lot of stuff for Encaustic on my YouTube channel, and I'm working on a Encaustic Basics online course as well. But yeah, check out your local community centers, because they teach a lot of art classes, probably. I know Raleigh does. So you can learn so many different things. Jewelry making and drawing and painting and bookmaking. All kinds of classes. Alright, let's see what we got here. Alright, that's feeling pretty good. I think it's still a little tacky in certain areas. but that should be okay. Yeah, that's not bad. All right, we're going to give it another 30 seconds, and then we're going to go ahead and burn it. Any other favorite types of art to make? I started off as a scrapbooker, so I love scrapbooking. I love doing mixed media. And when I say mixed media, there's a lot of different types of mixed media. If you look up the artist, her name is Anna Dabrowska, or Finnabair, Finnadair. I love her style of mixed media. I find it extremely beautiful and really interesting. And sometimes I will do paintings that are like that. All right, here we go. Now I'm gonna slowly kind of brush my torch across the surface carefully. I'm gonna move some of these cups of shellac just in case. Probably shouldn't have turned on my torch till I was totally ready. Now, it's interesting that the different types of burns that you get. Because it really all just depends on the quality and the type of shellac that you have. Now, I have been packed up, my studio has been packed up for a long time because we've been trying to sell our house. So I don't have access to my typical shellac that I get from Highland Woodworking. They have really good quality shellac flakes that I use to make my own shellac. And I've experimented with the ratios, and so I get shellac that gives me really awesome burns. Now, the burns that I'm getting right now are actually quite different from what I normally get. And I think it's because this time I got my shellac from Amazon, and it's just not as good of a quality of shellac. The flakes are a lot smaller, they're a lot thinner. I don't know what the difference is. Because shellac is a natural ingredient and comes from a beetle. So I don't know, like, are there shellac beetles out there that give inferior quality shellac? I guess there are, because my burn is not as... I'm not getting the kind of cells that I normally get. But even so, I mean, you can't really go wrong with a shellac burn. You get really cool, like, these are not what I was kind of hoping for, but they're still cool. You still get these cells that are just really fun to look at and very interesting. All right. Let's do it just a little bit at the bottom here again. Sometimes I don't know when to stop. That's one of my toxic traits. All right, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit so you can see. Actually, let me just take my phone out of the... So these are the kind of cells. They're really, really cool. Especially when you add multiple layers. So that's a shellac burn. That's what it looks like. Normally my cells are a lot bigger than this, which is why I'm complaining a little bit, but it looks like Mars kind of, yeah, a little bit. All right, let me try and zoom in a little bit for these next burns. I'm gonna have to move my piece up before I do that. Ooh. This is always such a tricky part. All right, that's close enough. We'll do the red first so you can see. Hopefully you can see. All right, let me move this up. We'll do this one right here. This one's really pale. You'll probably be able to see these burns on some of the later layers after I've added multiple layers of wax and the wood is not as visible. All right, I think that's good. Show you a little bit of the purple here too. All right, let me zoom back out. Oh gosh, phone's too sensitive. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry for a little bit longer and cool, let the wax cool, and then I'm going to add another layer of wax. But this is a painting that I'm going to be working on for a little while because I'm going to be adding a lot of layers, and it's going to take time for me to build up those layers because I'm going to have to melt the wax as I go, and I'm going to have to let the shellac dry as I go. And so I'm probably going to let you guys go for tonight, and then I'll try to hop back on a live stream in the next few days and show you guys my progress and do another shellac burn. And yeah, so yeah, it's hard for me to schedule the live streams. I kind of just have to see what my life is doing on any given day. But it's always I always go live at night when my kids are asleep, so around between 8 and 9 in the evening. And yeah, stay tuned. I'd love to have you hop on the next one and see the layers that I've added and see what the next few layers will start to look like. So thanks for tuning in, you guys. I'll see you in the next video.